Deryck teaches Tableau, Lesson 3. So in this lesson we're going to explore some more intermediate functions regarding calculations and analyzing our cost by different time periods, quarter, month, and year. Let's get started. Tableau, I've downloaded the 14-day free trial version of Tableau from the Tableau website, and I'm using some raw data that represents the kind of data that you might find from an airline from ticket sales. So let's look at ticket sales. I have the ticket sales here in an Excel spreadsheet, so I'm going to open it. I'm going to dump the ticket data here into the sheet. And then I'm going to analyze and connect with the airline route data here. Once I open this, it'll automatically connect. It'll connect with an inner join. So if I use any sort of outer join, some of the ticket information that will appear will include repair data, some of the incidents in which repair staff have to test fly the plane. So I'm going to keep it here with an inner join in order to connect the real route data and sales data with the ticket. So all the data that I have that's represented here only represents real customers. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to analyze my ticket sales, and I'm going to also use a calculation. So you notice here that there are a number of columns, and what I'm going to do right now is I am going to create a calculation. So if you notice here, I have a cost per seat in my route data. All the route data is indicated here. The columns are colored yellow or gold. And then in the ticket information, for each ticket purchase, you'll notice that each purchase has a different number of seats. So in order to know the total cost per purchase, I need to multiply the number of people multiplied by the unit cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to the last column. I'm going to right click and create calculate field. So for some reason this window appeared off screen. This is the window that will appear when you right click and hit. I'm just going to make sure that it does it again. Create calculated field, and then this window appears. The calculation 1 represents the field name. So I'm going to call this total spend for now. And then the fields that I want to add, all I need to do is start typing the field, and it should appear. So cost per seat is one of the fields that I want. And then I'm going to use a multiply sign and number of people traveling. You notice that I'm getting an error message at the bottom of this window. Although I am multiplying two numbers, there appears to be a data format problem. Because if I hit OK, the calculation field that appears will have all nulls. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to delete this field and then go back and look at my data. At the top of every column, you'll notice that there's a box with a number of symbols and options that I can choose. So looking at my cost per seat, you'll notice that there's a number sign, a hashtag sign. It means that Tableau thinks that this data is actually a number, which is what I want. However, when I go to the number of people traveled, you'll notice that there's an ABC symbol here. Tableau thinks that this column is actually a string or a character set. In order to get Tableau to identify this as a number, I just need to click this and click one of the numbers. So it's a whole number. Number of people traveled doesn't have decimals. So now Tableau identifies this column as a number. Let's try the calculation again and see what happens. Right click, create calculated field, total spend, cost per seat, number of people traveling. This calculation is valid. Click OK. Then I have total spend. I'm just coming to realize now that my ticket numbers, no one would ever buy one ticket for 3 people. So I created this dummy data just out of my head. So excuse me for my little faux pas, but at least my demonstration is a good way of demonstrating the features of Tableau and how they work. So in this demonstration, we're demonstrating how to calculate numbers in order to create a new column in order to find out our total spend or total sales. So now I've created my calculation field. I'm going to hit my Sheets tab and start analyzing my data. So the first thing I want to do is I want to drag the spend onto my work area in order to determine what my total sales are. Total spend is showing up as a measurement because it's a number. I'm going to drag it here onto. So I don't need to drag any of my data into the shells. I can also just drag it directly into the workspace here. So I'm going to drag it here into one of the axes, and then I have one column with the whole spend. For over 3 years, I've got sales of $1.8 million. Not a very useful number. I want to know what my spend is over a period of time. So we're going to make a business decision. We're going to say that the time of the flight or the date of the flight represents when the sale was incurred. Take the date of the flight and put it here in column. And now I can see my sales over 3 years. 2013, 2014, 2015. So I've had my most sales here in 2014. If I want, I can also distribute the data by quarter by simply hitting the plus sign. There's a plus sign here in the blue pill that represents date of flight. Just click that, and now I've distributed the data by quarter and by year. But what if I want to compare different quarters of the same year? I can do that quite easily by switching the order of the data pills at the top here in the column shelf. So I'm going to move year after quarter. And now I can compare each quarter by year. So I can see that for quarter 1 from 2013 to 2015, I have a steadily increasing rate of sales. But so I have the same situation or similar situation for Q2, but in Q3 and Q4, I've been having sliding sales in the last year, in 2015. What if I want to do a comparison? I want to stack and compare my quarters per year. What I can do is I can take the year distributed data flight pill, and I can drag it here over to the colors here in the marks pane. And now I get 3 stacked line graphs, each stack representing a different year. And you can see here that 2014, again, it has the best sales, and then something happened here in 2015 where I've had a lag in sales, specifically in quarters 3 and 4. If I want to, you notice that there's a lot of open space here. I can change the attributes of my y-axis by editing axis and then changing some of the attributes here. So the lowest value doesn't have to be 0. I can make my lowest value a different value. I can make it 100,000 if I want to. Let's make it 100,000. I can change this to 200,000. Click apply. And then, oh, that's weird. It didn't work. Let's click this again. Fixed. Oh, I only put down 10,000. Let's put 100,000. That's better. The graph looks a little nicer. What if this distribution by quarter isn't telling me enough information? What if I want to look at the data in more detail? I want to look at the data year over year, but looking at comparing different months. I can click this drop-down table here on my date of flight pill, data pill. You notice here quarter selected. I can change it to month. And what seemingly happens is the data has disappeared. The reason the data has disappeared is because the y-axis that I forced changed the attribute on the y-axis doesn't allow me to see the data. So I can go back and edit the data again. Let's change this to 0, just so that we can understand where the data is. So the highest the highest data point by sales, because take in mind that sales is being summed by different time intervals every time I change the attribute in the data of flights pill. So with a smaller time period, you get a smaller sum. So I can change my axis again, and this time let's change it to 100,000. So comparing month to month for different years. And what I can do is I can rename some of these fields if I want for this visualization. So instead of date of flight, I can simply change it to date if I like. And all the changes that I do will show up in the graph. And total spend I can change to sales. Let's create another visualization. And this time we're going to compare routes. And if you remember last time, we discussed instead of having a graph that shows the route codes that don't tell us very much, we can do another join, and then join what we want to know is we want to know the most popular destinations that our customers are buying tickets for. So we go back to the source data. A lot of the location data in the air route file, it isn't very useful. It's giving us just the two cities. It isn't necessarily telling us whether or not there's a destination or a source. So we're going to hide some of these more confusing data pieces for now. We're going to hide the business code, and then city 1 and city 2. Because what we want to do, we want to link from the tickets data. There. So you notice that in the tickets data there are specific site codes for the from and the to. What are the names of the cities and countries for the to, for the destination? There's another spreadsheet in our Excel book called location. So what we can do is we can drag it here just under tickets, and we immediately get, once we drag it to the connection, the red area under the tickets source data, we can select to as one of the join methods. And in location, we can select the business location code and have an inner join. Now, because these the Excel sheet, the kind of file that I'm using for both locations and tickets is actually the same, the colors of the columns will appear the same, but you can always identify the source of the data in the ID box above each of the columns, because you'll notice that the labels for the data sources are clearly indicated. All the data here on the left are for tickets, all the data on the right are for location, and my calculation fields are properly identified as calculation. So now we have the destination countries and cities that appear in our ticket sales. Let's go back to sheet 2. Sheet 2 doesn't have any of the data. And again, we're going to graph our data by using the destination city this time. City and country. So before I do that, let's just make the data very clear. Because although I know I've done an inner join on the to code of the ticket information, it's always handy to make sure that I properly label the data before I use it in the analysis. Destination country, and then destination city. There, destination city. So I'm going to drag and drop destination city to both the column and the rows like I normally do. And then when I do that, because I'm comparing to dimensions, I'm not really getting any data, so I can change my destination city into a measurement by indicating to count the number of times that city occurs. and then I get a nice bar graph. And I can drag destination city again to color, and I get different colors for that graph. And then the next thing I can do, because this is for 3 years, I can drag and drop the date, which I know is date of flight, even though I've changed the name. I can drag it here into columns, or I can drag it here to rows, actually, and then I will have my destinations by city. I think, though, what I really want to do is I just want to look at it's very interesting. You can always play around with this and see if you get different types of graphs in different orders. This is what I was looking for. So I can look at my graph from left to right and look at how popular the destinations are for each of my cities. And if anything is sort of crunched together, you can always stretch out the data and resize the data in your workspace in order for the titles to appear properly. Not having much luck with these titles, though. Select all. Edit alias? No, I want to rotate the label. There we go. Perfect. Destination, city, frequency. I'm going to start labeling my sheets now. Sales by month, year over year, destination frequency. And now what I want to do with frequency, because I have specific cities, there's a visualization that's popular in Tableau that uses a map. And I'm going to use the map function for my destination frequency. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, because this visualization of the bar graph for destination frequency already has most of the attributes that I want for my map. I can copy and paste it. I'm going to call this destination frequency 2015. Going to remove this year data pill if I can. Subtotals, filter, extract. Usually if I just drag it away, it will disappear. There it goes. And then if I drag the date back into the filters, it should give me options to filter it. There we go. Years. Next, 2015. Okay. And if you recall last time, the show me gives me options in terms of which graphs are popular and which are not. This map feature doesn't always work properly, but we're going to try it today. And so the map gives us a visualization of the destinations, and the circles in each destination represent which destinations are more frequent. So we can change the general size of all these dots if we want to. And then what we can do is we can take the count destination city and we can drag it here to color. And then what we can do is change the options here. We can edit the colors and choose a different variation. Let's just say that green is a good destination, and then blue is not. Let's see how many options we have here. No, I want green to be, let's say red is less of a popular color and green is good. So let's apply this. And so the destinations that are most green are most popular, and the destinations that are less green are less popular. Can't proceed. I'm going to take destination city and drag it over size, and then change the measurement to count. No, that's not what I want. Hang on. I'm going to remove this here. And change this to count. Ooh. I'm getting, oh, that's why I've got country here by accident. So I'm going to remove this. And I've totally destroyed my map. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this really quick. So I'm going to delete this and then try again as fast as I can. Get rid of this city here. And then I want date, year, years, next, 2015 only, apply, okay, and then change to map, and then change destination country, so I want destination city, by color, and then change my city to measurement and count, and then change my color edits here so that the good destinations are green, the bad ones are red. And I'm going to leave it at that. But I'm going to increase the total size of the maps. And there you go. So Vancouver, Los Angeles, Cancun, Havana, New York. You'll notice that Miami is missing. So the map function doesn't always work for me. There's probably maybe there's a space or there's something in my data that is preventing Tableau from identifying and recognizing the word Miami from the data that I have. So that there is lesson 3. I hope you had a good time, and everything is possible with Tableau. You just need to, as I've demonstrated, being a little bit experimental and playing around with it, and the visualizations always look great. You can always experiment and get different methods of creating visualizations. And that's the end of lesson 3.